Vital Intellect presents Royal Jelly by Juan Unlimited Rivera Jr. Chapter 5, Emergence, Part 2. Athena grimaces, picks up her sword and stands. She leaves behind her shield for better mobility. She twirls the hilt of her sword in her hand, then grasps it tight, navigating around the white block where the dogs retreated. When she makes her way around to the other side of the block, the scene that greets her gives her pause. Dead lie everywhere, and those who are still standing are being quickly dispatched. On her left, she sees a handful of the Waku pirates being systematically killed by a swarm of six-legged machines standing about 2 feet off the ground. Behind them, one of their female members leans over a fallen member, shaking him while screaming a foreign language at his unresponsive face. She then looks to her right towards a scream and sees the woman venturist from earlier. She is in her exosuit, cornered by the dog-like abominations. They tear at her bionic limbs, sparking in dysfunction with every bite, as she attempts to swat them away. In an open part of the field, a group of unarmed slaves are being slaughtered by towering zombie-like monstrosities. Some of the slaves kneel and pray within the carnage, while others stand in a catatonic state, awaiting death. Across from this scene, a winged abomination lands on a prospect. It has the face of a baboon and is wearing goggles. It tackles the prospect flat to the ground and rips her belly open. It takes a mouthful of her steamy organs and then looks at Athena. Athena takes a step back as fear runs through her body. The monster stands on its legs, waving its bat-like wings in the air while letting off a loud howl. It runs and glides towards Athena in a crazed yet awkward manner, never fully leaving the ground. Athena instinctively runs and turns down a nearby corner that proves to be the mouth of a large maze. She darts down a corridor and makes a right with the monster still in pursuit. It catches up to her and slices at her with its talons. Athena ducks at the last minute and turns another corner. She starts to realize that she cannot outrun the abomination and starts to plan to face the creature. Just then, something grabs her from her left. She is pulled into an opening to an adjacent hallway as the abomination runs past. Startled, she looked to see what had grabbed her. Shh! It's a young man, about her age and complexion, with his finger up to his lips. He has coarse hair styled in an unkempt afro. His eyes are wide and innocent. His slender body gives him a boyish charm. He lets Athena go and stands in a ready position at the mouth of the corridor. She could hear the abomination that was chasing her approaching. It is howling as it makes its way around the corner towards them. As soon as it rounds the corner, the young man surprises it and grabs it by its neck. The monster struggles for a moment, and then the young man wraps his free arm around one of its wings and locks it. He then rolls forward with the abomination still in his grasp. The abomination is slammed into the ground from the roll. Just as fast as it hits the ground, the young man releases it, then mounts it with one of his knees across its neck. He puts pressure on the monster's neck, and it snaps. The monstrosity stops flailing about and lies motionless. Athena is impressed by the young man. He turns and greets her with a wide smile. She is taken aback by his childish features and energy. Athena thanks him, and he nods in return. After an uncomfortable pause, Athena puts out her hand and introduces herself. I am Athena. The young man shakes her hand and looks at her. Miguel. Looking at his grayish-brown, tattered clothing, Athena asks, Are you a slave? Miguel nods his head. Do you have any weapons? He shakes his head no as his smile melts away. And you've made it this far? Athena sizes up Miguel. Impressive. Athena looks around herself and realizes things are quiet. But they should keep moving. She looks back to Miguel. We should stick together. She grabs Miguel by the wrist and begins to walk forward. Come, follow me. Miguel halts and Athena looks back at him. He snatches away his wrist and scurries up the wall of the maze corridor. He jumps atop the wall into the roof of the maze. He kneels and looks to Athena. No. He puts out his hand. You follow me. Athena scoffs, and then Miguel smiles at her again. You can trust me. Will you trust me? Athena hesitates, but despite herself, she is taken by his childish charm. She looks at his smiling face, large brown eyes, and decides to take a chance and says, Okay. She grabs his hand, and he hoists her up to the top of the wall with him. As Athena climbs to the top of the maze's roof, she steadies herself and kneels along with Miguel. Miguel looks to Athena while holding his hand out in front of him at the scene ahead. You see, from here we can see everything. Athena looks ahead with Miguel and sees a large dragon-like creature floating unnaturally in the air, curling its body as it hangs on nothing. There are hulking, humanoid abominations with jetpacks on their backs, flying in the air periodically and letting off volleys of fire from their plasma rifles. Screams can be heard from the ground with each volley. Beyond the abominations, Athena can see the crowd of the arena. The seats go up so far, she must bend back her neck to see the top row. Miguel looks back to Athena. "We will head to the center, let them come to us. We'll form a safe perimeter and take out all the monsters that come there. It's a sound plan, and how to win the preliminaries is to either be the last one standing, or be amongst the survivors after every threat has been neutralized." With Miguel's plan, they can hide and wait as all the monstrosities seek them out, dispatching each one as they approach. Athena agrees to this and tells Miguel to lead the way. The two begin to traverse the maze's rooftop in their trek towards the arena's center. The dragon-like abomination notices the pair and begins to give chase. Athena sees the floating monster behind them and warns Miguel. Miguel looks back at it and instructs Athena to follow him back down into the maze. They both jump down into the maze's corridors, and the monstrosity floats past them. As the abomination begins to turn around in pursuit, the two dart away. They take a few turns in hopes of losing their pursuer while still heading in the general direction of the arena's center. They find a narrow, dark corridor with an overhang and decide to hide there. They hide underneath the overhang, catching their breath. Miguel looks behind Athena, and his eyes widen. "Don't move," he tells her. Athena then cautiously turns her head to look behind her. She sees a small, skinny girl holding a dagger close to her chest. How did they miss her coming down the corridor? She is wearing loose-fitting, gray clothing with a large black scarf wrapped around her neck and shoulders. She has a dark expression, and her large, dark brown eyes are locked onto Athena. Athena is cautious not to react. Athena smiles at her and says, "Well, you look dangerous." The girl, slightly shorter than Athena, has straight, wavy black hair tied into a bun atop her head, with slight bangs partly covering her forehead. Her threatening expression contrasts with her otherwise attractive features. She stands stiff against the corridor wall, unmoving. Her eyes dart from Athena to Miguel and back. Athena begins to turn her body towards the girl. The girl hisses at Athena and goes into a fighting stance, her dagger held in front of her. Athena continues to smile at the girl and puts her hands up towards her. "Whoa, listen, none of us are abominations, I'm Athena, and this is Miguel. We're all on the same side here. We're headed to the center of the arena to make a stand. You're welcome to join us." The girl remains in her fighting stance, but her expression softens as she considers Athena's offer. Miguel steps forward, and the girl then turns her attention and blade towards him. Miguel stops in his tracks. He then says to the girl, "There's safety in numbers, it's the best way to survive." The girl remains on guard before suddenly looking up. Her expression turns to surprise, and she jumps into the air. Athena and Miguel look above themselves and see the young girl jumping towards the dragon-like abomination, attempting to sneak up on them from the air. She reaches it and stabs it in the face. The creature screeches in response. It unnaturally wriggles in the air, attempting to fight off the girl. The girl gnashes her teeth and keeps her dagger lodged in its face, holding onto the handle. She finally unlodges the dagger from its face, and the monster coils and retreats to the sky. The girl lands on her feet and looks up at the abomination. It twirls far above, then reorientates itself towards the three. It flows its body towards them, picking up speed as it comes closer. The girl hisses to herself and readies for another attack. Just then Athena comes up from behind her and puts her hand on the girl's shoulder. The girl looks back at her. Athena, with sword in hand, nods knowingly at the girl. The girl looks back at her, then away, and then returns the nod. Athena takes a step in front of the girl, readying to confront the floating abomination. It lets off an eerie screech as it comes in fast for the attack. Athena drops her stance, readies her sword, and then screams, "Now!" At that moment, the girl jumps over Athena's head and again plummets her dagger into the monster's face. It screeches and rises again to the air. As the monster passes overhead, Athena lifts her sword and raises it alongside its belly. Its innards spill out as the blade continues to open it, soaking Athena in its blood. The creature then crashes on top of the maze. Athena wipes the blood from her eyes. She then jumps atop the maze and sees the monster's carcass. The girl is standing in front of its face, still stabbing it. She gives it a few more stabs and then looks down at it, spitting into its face. She looks at Athena, and Athena nods. The girl nods in return. Athena smiles and signals to her to follow as she jumps back into the maze. The girl and Athena regroup with Miguel. Miguel congratulates the two and then insists they hasten to the arena's center. Athena nods in agreement. She then turns to the girl and asks for her name. She answers Dianara, then Athena asks if she'll join her and Miguel. Dianara thinks for a moment and then agrees. The three jump onto the roof of the maze and the crowd erupts in cheer. Athena looks around with surprise, then hears the announcer say, "Wow, what a show! Our amazing trio survived the Lindworm. Our preliminaries are heating up as we're down to our last few prospects." Heating up, Athena thinks to herself. Things have run hot for her since the beginning. The sentiment is insulting to her after losing the family that was her team, after losing Jennifer. Her life has been on the line this entire time. But to the audience, this has just been entertainment. Resentment builds in her heart, but she pushes it down just as fast, knowing she must focus on survival. The last few prospects? Are she, Miguel, and Dianara all that are left? The three reach the end of the maze and jump off its roof. As soon as they land, they are met with two abominations with plasma rifles. The abominations open fire on the trio as they find cover behind a large block. Miguel looks to Athena and Dianara and says, "I'll draw their fire. You two flank them." Before Athena can stop him, Miguel runs off. He is fast and manages to dart off, drawing their fire without being hit. Athena looks to Dianara and the two circle around the block towards the abominations. As they fire on Miguel, Dianara runs ahead first and stabs one in the neck. As she dispatches one abomination, the other turns towards them in surprise. Before it can let off a shot from its rifle, Athena, still a bit behind Dianara, takes her sword and throws it at the abomination, planting it squarely in its face. The armed monster falls dead, and Athena pulls her sword from its face. The two women look towards where Miguel ran and see him standing atop a tall wall. He's waving at them, screaming, "I see the center!" He then jumps off the wall, disappearing behind it. Athena and Dianara look at each other and then run to meet Miguel. As they run towards the wall, a swarm of six-legged machines run at them from their right. Athena's stomach sinks at the sight of them, remembering how easily they dispatched the Waku pirates earlier. "Shit!" Athena hears from behind her. Athena glances behind her and sees Dianara slide on her knees behind some wreckage. She then rises from behind the wreckage with a plasma rifle and opens fire. She begins to decimate the swarm. The few that make it through Athena destroy. The crowd erupts again in cheer, but Athena and Dianara remain focused and run towards the wall. They round the wall and see that it is part of a large structure. The other side of the structure has a wall that goes on for a ways. The giant, zombie-like creatures from earlier are making their way towards Athena and Dianara. They are still a distance away, so the pair have time. They notice a stairway embedded into the structure's side that leads to the roof. They make it to the stairway and begin to climb. Once they reach the top, they look into the structure's interior. It proves to be an open area with no ceiling. They can see Miguel. He is skirmishing with several humanoid creatures. They are slender, nimble, and have reddish skin filled with burn blisters. It's as if they're burn victims, but their cooked skin does not debilitate them. On the contrary, they move with the agility and speed of gymnasts. They have green glowing eyes, and they dance around Miguel, keeping him encircled but never advancing too close. Athena sees one hold out its hand, and then within its palm, a ball of fire begins to form. Within a second, the monster is holding a large fireball. It takes the fireball and hurls it at Miguel. He sees the fireball coming and jumps high in the air, flipping over it as it passes underneath. Two more of the burned-looking creatures now form fireballs in their hands and throw them at Miguel. He also dodges these. Athena and Dianara make their way to the ground level to help Miguel. As they run towards Miguel and the group of creatures he's fighting, Athena sees him lunge at one so fast it startles her. As he reaches the creature, he punches it in the gut, causing it to double over. He then elbows it in its chin, causing its head to go back. While the creature is off-balanced, Miguel thrusts his hand towards its throat and grasps it. He then pulls his hand back, ripping out the monster's throat. He lets out a loud, "Woo!" as he holds its throat in his hand. He turns towards another one and throws the throat at its face. While it is distracted, Miguel runs at it, jumps in the air, and kicks it in the face. As the monster falls to the floor, Miguel lands on its neck and its chest, crushing its larynx. He then twists his feet, finishing off the creature. Two other creatures throw fireballs at Miguel, and he dodges them with ease. He then flips off the carcass he was standing on. As his hands touch the ground, he grabs a long shard of metal. He then flips onto his feet and throws the shard at one of the monsters. The metal shard penetrates its chest as the other creature looks on in surprise. Miguel runs up and hits the surprised creature across the face with a flying cross kick. He grabs the dazed creature by the back of its neck and forces its body onto the metal shard protruding from the other. Miguel lets off another loud, high-pitched interjection and kicks the pair of skewered creatures away. There are 3 left, and Athena and Dianara dispatched them once they finally reached the scene. Miguel looks at Athena and Dianara while catching his breath. Athena looks at Miguel in awe, impressed by his display. Miguel grins at Athena, his eyes lit up with enthusiasm. Athena feels herself blush and breaks eye contact. Miguel walks over to the 2 women and says, "We've made it." He lifts both his hands in the air and turns, "This is the center." Athena looks around herself. She sees that the wall she and Dianara climbed over encircles the entire area. It is a sienna color and appears to be made from some sort of concrete and stucco mixture. There are openings and stairways spread about its face. Part of the wall has collapsed, and from there the giant zombie-like creatures are making their way in. "Shit!" Athena exclaims. "Quick!" Miguel yells while pointing towards a large platform in the center of the area. "Let's make our way up there." Athena looks around. By the platform, she notices the carcass of a creature, like the ones she and her team fought at the beginning. She looks at Miguel and yells back, "Miguel, help me with something!" Athena runs towards the dead abomination and Miguel follows. She instructs Miguel to hold up the cannon arm. As he holds it up, Athena cuts the arm at the elbow, cutting off the cannon part. The pair grab opposite ends of the cannon and take it up to the raised platform. On the way up, they must step over and on a myriad of dead bodies, both abominations and prospects. The sight is grotesque, and the smell is horrid, but Athena knows she must ignore it. Once they are at the top, Athena investigates where the creature's arm was connected to the cannon. She is looking for a triggering device. She tears away the dead flesh, rummaging past muscle, tendons, and fat. She finally notices a lever connected to a large piece of muscle. She rips away the muscle and tells Miguel to hold up the cannon. Miguel holds up the nozzle of the cannon, and Athena pulls the lever. A shot of green plasma flies out of the cannon and hits the side of the wall. Relieved that it works, she yells, "Aim it at the giant zombies!" Miguel takes the cannon and points it at the undead. Athena begins to fire. One giant falls after the other. Once they are cleared, another giant creature enters through the opening. The unsightly being slithers atop a moving bed of corpses. It moves slowly into sight, revealing itself to be quite large, standing about 10 to 12 feet tall. It has a large head, hunched forward, with an ogre-like face. It has large pupilless eyes that glow white and 2 horns protruding from its forehead. It looks to Miguel and Athena as it continues to slowly ride its bed of corpses towards them. With a large belly protruding forward, it raises its skinny arms into the air, exclaiming, "Bienvenido a tu perdición!" Athena scowls at the creature and opens fire. The plasma shots slow it but do not stop it. Soon the cannon runs out of shot. The creature begins to laugh, and Athena unsheaths her sword. "No!" Miguel yells, stopping Athena from attacking. He then points behind them. "Over there." There are a few dead abominations with assault rifles strapped to them. Athena and Miguel make for them. They grab the rifles and turn back to the monster. It continues to slither towards them, and the pair open fire. After a few shots, it finally reacts in pain. It then grabs its own head, tears it from its neck, and tosses it at Miguel and Athena. Athena stands shocked for a moment before she dodges out of the way with Miguel. The head hits the ground and explodes into a pool of gore. Athena looks at the monster and sees a gaping hole between its shoulders where its head was. From the hole, another head quickly grows back into place. The monster growls at the pair and jumps off the bed of corpses it was riding. It lands on the ground and begins to crawl at the pair, revealing large fangs within its mouth. "Go to the top of the platform and fire. Distract it for me," Miguel orders Athena. "No," Athena replies, planning to stand her ground and face the monster head-on. Miguel grabs Athena by both of her shoulders and pleads, "Trust me, please." Athena looks Miguel into his eyes and nods. Miguel nods back and runs off. Athena runs towards the platform, jumps atop it, and fires on the creature. The monster was crawling towards Miguel, then turned towards Athena. It puts up one of its hands to block the incoming fire. Just then, Miguel jumps on top of the creature. He pulls back its head with one of its horns. The monster screams, and Miguel shoves something into its open mouth. He jumps off the creature and yells at Athena, "Get down!" She falls to the ground and the monstrosity explodes. The crowd roars in reaction. "We're down to the wire, folks. There are only a few abominations left and our pair of fighters are standing strong," the announcer reports. Pair of fighters? Athena looks around herself and realizes Dianara is nowhere to be found. She lost track of her when they fought the giant zombies. Athena fears the worst and sadness comes over her. This year's preliminaries are particularly brutal. She has seen other preliminaries where only one prospect would survive. But this year the crowd, which was quite large, was picked apart fast. Loud laughter snaps Athena back to attention. She sees a beam of light shoot up from behind a part of the wall and to the roof of the arena. She looks to the light source and sees a large floating head rise from behind the wall. The head is disembodied, pale gray, bald, and male-looking with a large nose. It has no eyeballs, just empty sockets where they should be. It floats there for a moment, then opens its mouth. A flock of flying creatures begins to billow out from it. The small, bat-like creatures fly at Athena and Miguel and begin to scratch and tear at the two. Athena slices at them, grabs them, and breaks them in her hands. But there are too many of them, and she begins to succumb to their attacks. She then hears them squeal all around and feels an intense heat. Athena looks up and sees Miguel with a wooden staff in his hands, both ends lit from the fire still burning from the creatures they fought earlier. He jabs at the flying creatures with the fire, and they ignite upon contact. The flock of creatures takes higher to the air, attempting to avoid the flames. They fill the air just above, flying about in a cloud of flames. The arena crowd interjects with sounds of awe at the sight. The floating head begins to approach. Miguel looks at it and runs for it. As the head opens its mouth, ready to release another flock of flying monstrosities, Miguel takes another grenade and lobs it. The grenade lands in its mouth and the head explodes. Then the announcer begins, "Here we go. Only a few left," while wiping the gore from the exploding head off her. Athena looks to her left towards the sound of a gate opening. The gate opens to a dark corridor. Out of the darkness come several of the dog-like abominations, but at twice the size of the previous ones. On their backs ride humanoid creatures, dressed in tattered leather armor. They are armed with axes and worn swords. They look at Miguel and Athena, cackling. Athena immediately raises her rifle and fires. She hits two of the humanoid creatures, killing one with a headshot while the other slumps over. Miguel also opens fire. The dog-like creatures take off towards the pair. Some come head-on while others go to the left and the right. Athena empties her clip into one of the approaching hounds, dropping it. She takes her rifle, throws it to the ground, and unsheaths her sword. She runs to her left, where two more are attempting to flank. Athena runs at them head-on. As one reaches her, it jumps and lunges at her. As it does so, Athena slides on her knees and stabs the monster through its snout as it flies above. The abomination riding it is thrown off and hits its head on the way down. The other squares off with Athena. The monster and Athena circle each other for a moment, and then it tries to bite her. Athena dodges the bite and slices the abomination's nose off. It yelps, and the humanoid creature riding it jumps off. Before it hits the ground, Athena stabs it in its chest. She holds it up in the air for a moment, skewered at the end of her sword. The monster that fell off its hound a moment ago is running towards her. She sees it coming and takes the other creature on the end of her sword and swings it at the one approaching. The monster is flung off her sword and hits the other. Athena then lunges at the stacked pair, stabbing them both through and killing them. She looks at Miguel, still standing on top of the center platform. He is out of bullets and is doing his best to fend off four creatures at the same time. Athena runs to his aid. She kills one of the abominations on her way up and makes her way next to Miguel. They stand back to back, fending off the last three abominations, two large hounds, and one axe-carrying humanoid. Miguel takes on the humanoid, besting then disarming him, killing him with his own axe. Then the two take on the last two hounds. They spar with the creatures for several moments before finally besting them. The two bend over, resting on their knees and breathing hard. The arena goes quiet. Then the announcer says, "That's it, folks. That is this year's Abundance Day special arena qualifier." The crowd erupts with cheers and applause. Athena and Miguel look at each other and grin. They begin to stand straight. "Welcome to the arena games, Athena and Miguel," the announcer continues. Athena takes Miguel's hand and holds it up into the air with her own. The pair look at each other and then out to the crowd, continuing to celebrate their victory. Athena is in disbelief. She's done it. She's an arena fighter. As Athena attempts to grasp her new reality, she hears Miguel scream, "Watch out!" Before she can react, she hears a growl and snarl to her left. Then blood sprays across her face. She sees the black body of one of the hound like abominations fly across her. The crowd gasps in horror. Athena looks to her left arm that she was holding up and sees that it is gone. Only a bloody stump remains. She blacks out from the pain.
Hello, this is Juan, the author. Thank you for listening to Royal Jelly, Chapter 5, Part 2. This ends Season 1 of Royal Jelly. Stay tuned for Season 2.